What's up, everybody? It's Vicious here. And for those who know me, they know that Tekken is my favorite fighting game franchise of all time. There have been other games that have been competing with it for my love and affection. We have Blaze Blue, we have Soul Calibur before it, we have Bloody Roar as well, but Tekken has always managed to be my tippity top favorite. And with the news of Tekken 8 coming out, there was a video I wanted to make, actually a series of videos I want to make about how it can be improved over Tekken 7. And I hope you guys will join me for the ride and let me know what you think about these things that I'm suggesting. Obviously, Harada won't probably watch the video or care about it because I'm not supposed to ask him for shit, but I felt like it'd be something fun to do as a fan that's been following the series for, well, ever since the 90s, ever since it came out. But anyway, let me know what you guys think and enjoy the video. I don't think it's a secret that side characters have fallen by the wayside in Tekken. And this has been happening since I want to say at the end of Tekken 6, and it's kind of annoying. There's a lot of character arcs that never get wrapped up, and honestly the characters don't talk to each other as much as you'd like, and they only talk to one person. For instance, I'll bring up the fact that Eddie Gordo, he had a whole ordeal where he's trying to get revenge on Kazuya and all of the Mishimas, but he only ends up talking to Lucky Chloe. And I understand on Tekken, especially in Tekken 7, they canceled the tournament. Heihachi canceled the tournament mid-tournament, which is kind of fucked up when you think about it, because you have all sorts of people that joined this tournament to get rich. They had dreams, they had things they needed to do, and he just sort of canceled it, and there's no explanation, you know. So, and for that, I guess I kind of understand why it's only one match, but that's really cheap. You mean to tell me everybody got one match and then it was just over? I'd be more pissed than anything. It doesn't really make a lot of sense the way they did it in Tekken 7, and I hope that it's better in Tekken 8. I really loved in Tekken 5 when the characters talk to one another.
Unlike 20 years ago, there's no difference between us now. You're a challenger, just like me.
And they had a lot of interludes. For instance, Wang Jinrei had 3 interludes. Yoshimitsu, depending on who you play, he might have an interlude with somebody that he doesn't have when he's playing normally. And things like that are so interesting to me, and I wish that they would return. They had something like it in Tekken 6 with the cinematic story mode, where you would play basically like it was Tekken Force, and if you play with certain characters, they would say different things to other characters. It wasn't nearly as in-depth as I would say Tekken 5 was, but I do wish it would return to form. It was really cool seeing the characters talk back in 2005, especially in their native language to each other, and just hash things out, you know. That's something that people will never get to experience because Tekken 5 is a PS2 game, and Tekken 5 DR doesn't have story on PS3 for whatever reason. So I would really love to see that return to Tekken, because I feel like that really made Tekken more unique than other fighting games, especially like in the early 2000s. And don't get me started on how dark the story was. It was pretty damn good.
Yoshimitsu, a ninja helping the poor. While breaking into the Mishima Zaibatsu's vault, he found an injured Brian Fury and helped him escape. A month later, when Yoshimitsu visited Dr. Boskanovich's lab, he found his comrades dead. This was Brian's thanks. He'll pay for what he's done, says Yoshimitsu. Learning Brian will fight in the King of Iron Fist Tournament 5, Yoshimitsu sharpens his sword and enters the fray.
So in case you never played Tekken 5, let me know what you think is going to happen at the end of Yoshimitsu's story mode. Got an idea? Here it goes. The stakes for certain characters used to be a lot higher in the older Tekken games, and I'm not saying that the stakes need to be as high as death for every single Tekken character, but I do wish that there was some consistency between the characters. If you look at Yoshimitsu now, he doesn't even remember. Well, I won't say he doesn't remember, but I will say that it doesn't seem like he cares too much about this thing that happened. I would say a couple months ago, or technically maybe even a year. The distance between Tekken 5 and Tekken 7 is so muddied. Like, it's anywhere between like a couple of months to a year, and I'm not entirely certain. We read a wiki on that. I don't know.
Swerve your way out of here. Let the hunt begin.
So, like I said, even though Brian murdered a bunch of Yoshimitsu's colleagues and or beat them up in Tekken's time, I'll be generous and say within 2 years, Yoshimitsu's sole purpose is to figure out what the hell is going on with the Mishima Zaibatsu in Tekken 7. He's gathering intelligence from one of their temples, and then he meets Leo of all people. And let's see how that plays out. Like right now, let's look at it. It's pretty nuts.
Round 1. Fight. You win.
Hilfe! Ein komischer Oktopus-Typ ist hinter mir her! Ah!
I hate this scene for several reasons, and one of those reasons would be because Yoshimitsu, like I said, within the past 2 years Tekken time, Yoshimitsu had his clan members killed or brutally beat up by Brian Fury. Now, to be fair, in Tekken 6, his objective changed because his sword became evil, or his sword always was evil. So Yoshimitsu got a second sword to control the first sword, but the goal was to purify the sword that was evil. Now, what would have been interesting is he purified that sword or learned a better way to control it and then sought to use it against Brian in Tekken 7. That would have been good for side A of Yoshimitsu's story. I think every character should have like a side B or so, just like how in Tekken 5, as I showed you, characters had multiple interludes with different characters, So that would have been interesting. And what would have been even more interesting is if they added Kunimitsu, and then Kunimitsu had a storyline with Yoshimitsu, and it'd be the side B to his story that would have been in the DLC. I don't understand why Soul Calibur was able to add DLC story for their DLC characters, but Tekken wasn't, even though Tekken got a bigger budget and sold more copies. I know I've railed on Tekken 7's story a lot, but I want to let you guys know that I do believe that comedy does have a place in Tekken. And I'm about to show you a clip from Tekken 5, the same game where Yoshimitsu was planning to actually exact revenge on Brian Fury and kill him, and Brian was going to kill him for sport. There is still a little levity to be had in the story with certain characters, but I think that there is a way to execute that in a way that's more cohesive to the integrity of the character. And there's a way to fumble that, like in Tekken 7.
You a ninja? There's no way. This isn't part of my main objective. But I will not lose this fight. Rin, Kyo, To, Sha.
Ah, you've got it all wrong.
Sha, like this. Sha, sha. There, now, ready. Kai, Jin, Ritz, Zen, Zen. No, you're hopeless. Ah.
So I like this scene for several reasons. It does provide comedy. You are playing as Yoshimitsu, and Yoshimitsu actually loses to Raven. So he doesn't win in this scenario. He loses, and when he loses, Raven tries to school him because they've both been calling each other fake ninjas. And there's a lot of comedy in that, you know what I mean? And there's enough comedy to it to the point where you don't lose sight of the goal that Yoshimitsu's trying to accomplish. This is just another person that Yoshimitsu's facing in his goal of vengeance against Brian Fury. And it's a noble quest, if you ask me. What he was doing in Tekken 7, I don't know what the hell you'd call that. He was getting on top of Leo and, like, you know, checking Leo out. And Leo's just like, oh my goodness, I never heard or seen Yoshimitsu before. Get away from me. Even though, you know, you've been in the most famous martial arts tournament for like 2 decades straight. For some reason, I didn't know there was going to be like a weird guy like you, and I didn't just get done fighting you either, so I don't understand that. Like, why did Leo get up like that, you know, and she knew that she was fighting Yoshimitsu to begin with? That I don't understand that. Anyway, I like to take this time out to point out once again how Soul Calibur handled DLC and story and compare it to Tekken 7. A lot of Soul Calibur 6's storytelling has still frames of art instead of 3D action, but that's completely fine, especially to me. I'm a BlazBlue fan, and BlazBlue had animated pictures of characters, and they would depict certain things like, oh, I'm angry, I'm getting in a fighting stance, or I'm getting hurt, stuff like that, smiling, laughing. I think that that's fine, and that's basically what Soul Calibur does. I assume that the budget was significantly less, but I think that could have been by design. You know, they probably thought that with this type of storytelling, you didn't need that big of a budget. Who knows? I don't work for Bandai Namco, but I do know that they went the extra mile and actually provided a story for the characters, which was much needed because it is a reboot and a lot of the characters need to be placed into the story so they fit with other characters. And I think the Soul Calibur community at large really appreciates that period. But in Tekken, they don't do that. But they do something right in Tekken that I will talk about a little bit later. But just check out how Soul Calibur does storytelling for these characters that they added into the story. And once again, these aren't the main characters. The main story has some action cutscenes, but I wouldn't say they're the best cutscenes in the world. I think the meat of the story is really in these points when they're talking to each other and giving more exposition on the world and what they're doing.
Excellent! Princess, fortune is finally smiling upon us.
Wrong!
Mina, I'm okay.
No, you're not. Why would you do this to yourself? These talismans are draining your life, aren't they? They'll kill you. Let it drain some of mine instead.
It's too dangerous. Get away from me.
No! Why do you always do this? Why do you always push me away? We promised we would protect our homeland together, didn't we? And yet you still shoulder the burden on your own. It's not fair!
I'm sorry, Mina.
There you go apologizing like you always do. Look, it's not that I want you to change. I know this is part of who you are. I just want you to let me help you for once.
Now, I really love to direct your attention to a Tekken 7 DLC trailer. This one in particular is going to be for Kunimitsu. As I said earlier, it would have been perfect if they had paired Yoshimitsu up to fight Kunimitsu. at least for the B side of his story or for her story, but they didn't do either. She fights Master Raven and Yoshimitsu in the trailer, but you can find this cutscene nowhere in the game because they just did not want to add it in, because story mode for Tekken 7 was meant to be only for the Mishimas, it feels like, and everybody else just feels like an afterthought. Check it out. Alright, can I say how in shock and in awe I was when this trailer came out? And I was so happy. I was like, maybe this is the turning point. Maybe this is when they're going to have some actual action and back and forths and dialogue between the character. Nope. You want to know where you find out the story for Kunimitsu and why she's actually in Tekken 7? You had to find it on a wiki page or Tekken's official website. But seeing as how you type in Tekken 7 Kunimitsu story, the first thing is a wiki. You don't even want to really go to the official website because, again, why in the world would you have to search the official website? Like, you should just have put this in the game. This is the same thing that happened with Soul Calibur 5, by the way. There's a ton of characters in Soul Calibur 5, Mitsurugi included, that don't have a story in the main story, and there's no way to even tell why they're there. There's no any sort of like biography or anything in the game's gallery or anything. You have to search online, and these things get muddied over time because sometimes these websites just disappear and there's no way to find it. You know what I'm saying? So honestly, I'm just going to close the video off here and I'll work on my next part. They need to improve the story. I can't just have Tekken 8 just focus on the Mishimas. It's nice. That's fine. You know, if you want to focus on the Mishimas, that's all right. But you have to include your other characters because it makes everybody feel left out in the end. And please have them have some consistency with their attitudes and their characterization from the previous games. We don't need another Julia Tekken 7. That's the most cringe shit I ever seen in my life. But anyway, let me know what you guys think. Am I just rambling on? Is this something that's not important to you? Whatever. You know, say what you like. If you like the video, like it, subscribe, hit that notification bell. I'll be back here in a bit for another.